Colonel Harlan Sanders. His image is one of the most recognizable in the world. The white suit, the black string tie, the grandfatherly smile. He is the face of Kentucky Fried Chicken, a global icon of American entrepreneurship, a legend who achieved fame and fortune late in life. But behind the carefully crafted corporate myth of the kindly colonel lies a far more complex and compelling human story, one of a driven, ambitious, and often cantankerous man. Today, we're diving deep into the lives of Margaret, Harlan Jr., and Mildred Sanders. Their stories are a fascinating exploration of loyalty, rebellion, tragedy, and quiet influence. Number 3. Margaret Sanders Adams, born on March 29, 1910 in Jasper, Alabama, was the eldest child and a woman of remarkable and eclectic talents. She famously dubbed herself the Spicy Daughter, a moniker that perfectly captured her spirited, independent, and candid nature. Her life was a multifaceted journey through art, business, and literature, and she was determined to tell the unvarnished truth about the man behind the myth. Margaret's professional life was a vibrant tapestry of diverse pursuits. She worked as a KFC waitress in Salt Lake City in the early days, gaining first-hand experience in the burgeoning family business. She sold cars in Florida. She ran a body relaxation treatment business in Lexington, Kentucky. At one point, she even worked in a gun plant. This eclectic resume speaks to an adaptable and adventurous spirit, a woman unafraid to try her hand at different ventures. But her deeper passions lay in art and intellectual pursuits. Margaret was an accomplished sculptor who was commissioned to create works of many famous people. Her most public and enduring piece is the bronze bust of her father, Colonel Sanders, that overlooks his grave in Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky. It is a powerful, dignified portrait, a daughter's artistic tribute to her father's legacy. Her artistic talent was recognized in elite circles. She was reportedly tasked by Otto Nathan, a friend and estate executor for Albert Einstein, to create a bust of the renowned physicist, and was provided with photographs to aid her work. Margaret's most significant public contribution was her explosive 1996 memoir, The Colonel's Secret, 11 Herbs, and a Spicy Daughter. The book drew international attention for its candid and unflinching look at the private life of Colonel Sanders. Margaret did not shy away from family skeletons. She wrote frankly about her father's powerful libido, which required a healthy, willing partner, and his long-standing extramarital affair with Claudia Leddington, a waitress at his Sanders Cafe who would eventually become his second wife. Margaret detailed how this affair occurred while he was still married to her mother, Josephine, who refused to accept that she alone could not satisfy father's physical needs. This willingness to speak so openly about such sensitive family matters was a bold act. It challenged the sanitized grandfatherly corporate image of the colonel and presented him as a complex, flawed, and deeply human figure. But the book was not merely a tell-all. It also revealed Margaret's intellectual depth. A significant portion of the memoir was dedicated to her fascination with Albert Einstein, exploring her interest in his work and her reflections on the intersection of science and religion. This showed that Margaret was using the platform afforded by her father's fame, not just to settle scores or reveal secrets, but to explore her own profound intellectual and spiritual interests. Margaret married James Trigg Adams Sr., a farmer, in 1931. They had children who would carry on the family line, including a son, Harlan Morrison Adams, and a daughter, Frances Josephine Adams, who became known as Josephine Worcester. Her son Harlan was a longtime resident of Aspen, Colorado, and is credited with naming the Adams Avenue ski run at Snowmass. Her daughter Josephine's obituary paints a picture of a woman who inherited her mother's vivacity and humor. Margaret Sanders Adams passed away on October 10, 2001, at the age of 91, in West Palm Beach, Florida. She was laid to rest in Cave Hill Cemetery, near the father whose complex legacy she so bravely chronicled. Number 2. Harlan David Sanders, Jr. Born April 23, 1912, in Alabama, was the only son of Colonel Sanders and Josephine King. His life, though tragically brief, occupies a pivotal and poignant place in the Sanders family saga and the very origins of the KFC empire. His childhood was defined by the family's constant relocations, as his father chased various business ventures. By his late teens, Harlan Jr. had become an integral part of his father's latest enterprise, a Shell oil service station and roadside restaurant in North Corbin, Kentucky, which the Colonel opened around 1930. This was the very place where Colonel Sanders began to perfect his fried chicken recipe and build his local reputation. Harlan Jr. was not just a helper, he was listed as a partner in the business. He was there at the very beginning, his labor and commitment part of the foundational efforts to build what would one day become a global brand. A dramatic anecdote from 1926 illustrates the shared hardships of father and son. Harlan Sr. was attempting to tow the family's Model T, with 18-year-old Harlan Jr. at the wheel, across a rickety swinging bridge. A cable snapped, and both cars plunged into a 40-foot gully. Miraculously, Harlan Jr. emerged with only minor injuries, though his father was more seriously hurt. The incident, which resulted in the loss of Colonel Sanders' job at the time, highlights the precariousness of their lives during this period. Tragically, Harlan Jr.'s promising life was cut short. On September 15, 1932, he died in Martinsville, Indiana, at the age of 20. The cause of death was acute septic endocarditis, a severe infection of the heart lining. This was almost certainly a complication from what other sources describe as infected tonsils, tonsillitis. In the pre-antibiotic era of 1932, a common bacterial infection could easily become fatal. The death of his only son and business partner, especially during the depths of the Great Depression, must have been a devastating blow for Colonel Sanders. This profound personal loss adds another layer of adversity to the Colonel's own story of struggle and eventual triumph. Number 1. Mildred Sanders, Ruggles. Born on October 15, 1919, in Jeffersonville, Indiana, was the youngest child of Harlan and Josephine Sanders. Forged in the same tumultuous environment as her siblings, Mildred's life took a path of steadfast loyalty, quiet contribution, and unexpected international renown. While her sister Margaret became the family's critical chronicler, Mildred became one of its most dedicated builders. Mildred's contribution to the Kentucky Fried Chicken empire was direct, operational, and absolutely fundamental. In the early days of KFC's expansion, she traveled extensively with her father, acting as a crucial emissary for the brand. Her primary role was to train new franchisees how to cook chicken the Colonel's way. In the 1950s, the KFC franchise model was a fragile one, built on handshake deals and the personal reputation of an old man in a white suit. The biggest risk was inconsistent quality. While his second wife, Claudia, mixed and shipped the secret spice blend, it was Mildred who often went on the road to ensure the proprietary cooking method, particularly the revolutionary use of the pressure fryer, was perfectly replicated. Her work addressed the most critical bottleneck in the system, ensuring the brand's reputation for quality could be maintained across dozens of independent restaurants. She also attended conventions and events, promoting finger-licking good chicken across the country and abroad. But KFC was not the only family empire Mildred helped build. In 1937, on her 18th birthday, she married John F. Ruggles, Jr. After World War II in 1946, Mildred assisted her husband in the startup of Ruggles Sign Company in Lexington, Kentucky. She spent her life promoting the company alongside her husband. Under their joint stewardship, Ruggles Sign grew from a local shop into a nationally respected firm, specializing in large-scale rebranding projects for major retail clients. In a remarkable story of generational succession, The company was purchased in 1994 by their granddaughter, Anna Cambron, and her husband, Tim, ensuring the business Mildred co-founded remained in the family. Mildred's commitment to building a stable life extended deep into her adopted community of Lexington, Kentucky. After World War II, she served as a Gray Lady at the Veterans Administration Hospital. This was a highly respected corps of American Red Cross volunteers who underwent formal training to provide comfort and support to wounded soldiers. Her life was a tapestry of civic service. She was a member of Beta Sigma Phi, the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Daughters of the Nile, supporting Shriners Hospitals for Children, a beloved Girl Scout leader, and a board member of the Mountain Laurel Festival. Her approach to philanthropy was one of quiet, institutional support. When she donated one of her father's white suits for a charity auction in 2002, the $80,000 raised went to Colonel's Kids, a KFC-affiliated charity, leveraging her father's legacy for a good cause. Perhaps the most unique and charming aspect of Mildred's legacy lies 3,800 miles from her Kentucky home in the United Kingdom. In Bristol, England, and across the Southwest, a beloved fast food chain called Miss Millie's Fried Chicken has been a local institution for decades. The story begins with Harry Latham, a personal friend of Colonel Sanders, and the man who was instrumental in launching the first KFC in the UK in 1965. In 1988, after leaving the KFC system, Latham founded his own chain. He named it Miss Millie's as a direct and affectionate tribute to Mildred Sanders Ruggles. The connection was deep. The new chain initially used a signature chicken seasoning created by the Colonel's grandson. Early branding even featured a logo with oversized spectacles, a charming nod to Mildred's own eyewear. Miss Millie's became a cherished brand in the UK, its unique history and connection to the Sanders family, a cornerstone of its identity. The fact that Harry Latham chose to name his own family venture after Mildred, rather than the more famous Colonel, speaks volumes about the personal regard and affection in which she was held by her father's closest business associates. It reveals Mildred is a figure of quiet influence, a woman whose character made a profound impression on those she met. Mildred Sanders Ruggles passed away on September 21, 2010, at the age of 90. Her life was a masterclass in quiet impact. She was a co-founder of 2 successful family businesses, a pillar of her community, and in a corner of England, a legend in her own right. What are your favorite memories of KFC or Colonel Sanders? And what do you think of the very different paths his children took?